Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an important update like this one. Today, we are talking about something that a lot of Americans have been waiting for, and that is the new stimulus payments from the IRS that are set to start going out on March 5th. Now, I know a lot of you have been hearing rumors and bits and pieces of information floating around on social media, and it can be really confusing trying to figure out what is true and what is not. So, in this video, I'm going to break everything down for you in plain and simple language so that by the time you finish watching this, you will know exactly what is going on, who qualifies, how much money we are talking about, and what you need to do to make sure you get your payment if you are eligible. So sit tight, grab a cup of coffee, and let us get into it. First of all, let me just say that this is real. This is not some clickbait nonsense or some rumor that someone made up on the internet. The IRS has actually confirmed that they are sending out payments. And the reason behind this is actually pretty interesting. You see, what happened is that during the previous rounds of stimulus payments, there were a lot of people who were eligible to receive money, but for one reason or another, they never got it. Maybe they did not file their taxes. Maybe there was a glitch in the system. Maybe their information was not updated, or maybe they just did not know they qualified. Whatever the reason, the IRS has identified that there is a large group of Americans who were supposed to get stimulus money, but never did. And now they are making it right. The IRS went back through their records, looked at tax returns, cross-referenced data, and figured out who got missed. And now those people are going to get their money, which is honestly a great thing because a lot of folks really need that extra cash right now with the cost of everything going up. Now, let me talk about the timeline because I know that is what a lot of you want to know. When is this money actually going to hit your bank account or show up in your mailbox? The IRS has said that the payments are going to start going out on March 5 and they will continue to be sent out in batches over the following weeks. So, not everyone is going to get their money on the exact same day. If you are set up for direct deposit with the IRS, meaning they have your bank account information on file from your tax returns, then you are probably going to be one of the first people to get your payment. Direct deposit is always faster. And the IRS has said that most people who are getting their payments electronically should see the money in their accounts within a few days of that March 5 start date. Now, if you are someone who gets a paper check in the mail, it is going to take a little longer. Paper checks always take more time because they have to be printed, processed, and mailed, and then you have to wait for the postal service to deliver it. So if you are expecting a paper check, you might be looking at a few weeks after March 5th before it shows up at your door. But either way, the money is coming, and that is the important thing. Now let us talk about the big question that everyone wants to know, and that is, how much money are we talking about here? The amount that each person is going to receive depends on their individual situation. But the IRS has said that the payments could be up to $1,400 per person. That is the same amount as the third round of stimulus payments that went out under the American Rescue Plan back in 2021. So, if you were supposed to get that $1,400 payment and you never received it, that is what you are going to be getting now. And remember, this is per person. So, if you are married and filing jointly and both you and your spouse were missed, you could be looking at $2,800. And if you have qualifying dependents who were also missed, you could be getting $1,400 for each of them too. So, for a family, this could add up to a pretty significant amount of money. Now, I want to be clear that not everyone is going to get the full $1,400. Some people might get a partial payment depending on their income level and their specific tax situation, but the maximum amount is $1,400 per eligible individual, and that is straight from the IRS. All right, so now let us get into the eligibility details because this is really the meat of the whole thing. Who actually qualifies for these payments? Well, the main group of people who are going to be receiving these payments are individuals who were eligible for the third economic impact payment which is the official name for the third round of stimulus checks, but who did not claim it, and the way you were supposed to claim it if you did not get it automatically was by filing a tax return and claiming what is called the recovery rebate credit. The recovery rebate credit was a special line on your tax return that allowed you to get any stimulus money that you were owed but did not receive. The problem is that a lot of people either did not file a tax return at all, or they did file, but they left that line blank or put 0 on it even though they were actually eligible. And the IRS knows this because they can see in their records that these people qualified for the payment but never claimed it. So instead of just letting that money sit there, the IRS decided to go ahead and send it out automatically. That means if you are one of these people, you do not have to do anything. You do not have to file an amended return. You do not have to call the IRS. You do not have to fill out any special form. The IRS is going to send you the money automatically based on the information they already have on file. Now, let me talk about the income requirements because this is another area where people get confused. For the third round of stimulus payments, the income limits were as follows. If you were a single filer, you needed to have an adjusted gross income of $75,000 or less to get the full payment. If you were the head of household, your adjusted gross income needed to be $112,500 or less. And if you were married filing jointly, your combined adjusted gross income needed to be $150,000 or less. Now, if your income was above those amounts, you could still get a partial payment, but it would be reduced. The payments phased out completely for single filers at $80,000, for head of household filers at $120,000, and for married couples filing jointly at $160,000. So if your income was above those upper limits, you would not be eligible for any payment at all. And the income that the IRS is looking at is based on your most recent tax return that they have on file, which for most people would be either your 2020 or 2021 tax return. Now, here is something really important that I want to make sure everyone understands. There are some people out there who did not file a tax return for 2020 or 2021 because they thought they did not need to. Maybe they did not earn enough money to be required to file. Or maybe they were on Social Security or disability and thought they were exempt from filing. Well, here's the thing. Even if you were not required to file a tax return, you still might be eligible for this payment. The IRS has been using other data sources besides just tax returns to identify eligible individuals. For example, if you receive Social Security retirement benefits, Social Security disability benefits, supplemental security income, or railroad retirement benefits, the IRS may already have enough information to send you a payment, even without a tax return. However, and this is a big however, if you are someone who has not filed a tax return and you are not receiving any of those government benefits, then the IRS might not know about you. In that case, you would need to file a tax return, even a late one, to claim the recovery rebate credit and get your payment. And I would strongly encourage anyone in that situation to go ahead and file as soon as possible, because there is a deadline coming up and you do not want to miss out on money that you are owed. Speaking of deadlines, let me talk about that for a second. The IRS has said that if you have not yet filed a tax return to claim the recovery rebate credit, you generally have until April 15, 2025 to file your 2021 tax return and claim the credit. After that date, you may lose your chance to get this money. So if you are watching this video and you think you might be eligible, but you have not filed, please do not wait. Go to the IRS website, use one of the free filing tools, or go see a tax professional and get your return filed. This is free money that you are entitled to, and it would be a shame to miss out on it just because you did not file in time. Now, I want to address some common questions and concerns that I know a lot of you have. One question I see all the time is whether these payments are taxable. And the answer is no, they are not. Stimulus payments are not considered taxable income. You do not have to pay federal income tax on them, and you do not have to report them as income on your tax return. So if you get a $2,400 payment, that is $2,400 that is yours to keep free and clear. You do not have to worry about the IRS coming back later and asking you to pay taxes on it. That is one of the nice things about stimulus payments. They are essentially a tax credit that is paid to you in advance. So there is no tax liability associated with them. Another question I get a lot is whether these payments will affect other government benefits that people receive. For example, if you are on food stamps, which is now called SNAP, or if you are receiving Medicaid or housing assistance, will getting a stimulus payment mess that up? And the good news is that generally no, it will not. Stimulus payments are not counted as income for the purposes of determining eligibility for federal benefit programs. They are also not counted as a resource for at least 12 months after you receive them. So if you get a stimulus payment and you put it in your bank account, it will not count against you for things like SNAP or SSI for at least a year. After 12 months, if you still have the money sitting in your account, it could potentially be counted as a resource depending on the specific program and its rules. But for that first year, you are protected. That said, every state and every program has its own rules. So if you are concerned about this, I would recommend reaching out to your local benefits office or a social worker to get specific guidance for your situation. Now let me talk about how you can check the status of your payment once the payments start going out. The IRS has an online tool called Get My Payment, and you can find it on the IRS website at irs.gov. This tool allows you to check whether your payment has been sent, whether it was sent by direct deposit or by mail, and it will give you a date for when you should expect to receive it. To use the tool, you will need to enter your social security number, your date of birth, your street address, and your zip code. If the IRS has processed your payment, the tool will show you all the details. If it has not been processed yet, the tool might say that your payment status is not available, and that just means you need to check back later. The IRS updates this tool regularly, so keep checking if you do not see your information right away. I also want to warn everyone to be very careful about scams. Whenever the IRS announces that payments are going out, the scammers come out of the woodwork. You might get phone calls, emails, or text messages from people claiming to be from the IRS and saying that you need to provide your personal information or pay a fee to receive your stimulus payment. Let me be very clear about this. The IRS will never call you and ask for your social security number, your bank account information, or your credit card number over the phone. The IRS will never send you an email or a text message asking you to click on a link and enter your personal information. And the IRS will never ask you to pay a fee or buy gift cards in order to receive your stimulus payment. If anyone contacts you and asks for any of these things, it is a scam, plain and simple. Hang up the phone, delete the email, and do not respond. If you think you have been targeted by a scam, you can report it to the IRS at their website or by calling the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. Protecting your personal information is so important, especially right now when scammers know that people are expecting payments. Now, let me also mention something for people who have moved or changed their bank account since the last time they filed a tax return. If you have a new address or a new bank account, the IRS might not have your current information, and that could delay your payment or cause it to be sent to the wrong place. If you have moved, you should file a change of address form with the IRS. The form is called Form 8822, and you can download it from the IRS website and mail it in. You can also update your address by filing your most recent tax return with your new address on it. As for your bank account, unfortunately, there is no easy way to update your direct deposit information with the IRS outside of filing a new tax return. So, if your bank account has changed, your payment might be sent to your old account. If that happens, the bank will usually reject the payment and send it back to the IRS. and then the IRS will mail you a paper check to the address they have on file. It is not ideal, but eventually you should still get your money. The best thing you can do is make sure your most recent tax return has your current address and bank information on it. Let me also talk about some special situations that might apply to some of you. If you are a veteran, you are eligible for stimulus payments just like anyone else, as long as you meet the income requirements. Your VA benefits do not count as income for the purposes of determining eligibility. So even if you receive VA disability compensation or a VA pension, you could still qualify. If you are an immigrant, your eligibility depends on your immigration status. Generally, you need to have a valid Social Security number to receive a stimulus payment. If you have an individual taxpayer identification number, which is called an ITIN, you would not be eligible for the payment yourself. But there are some exceptions, especially if you file jointly with a spouse who has a valid Social Security number. The rules around this can be complicated, so if you are unsure about your eligibility based on your immigration status, I would recommend consulting with a tax professional or an immigration attorney. If you are a college student or a young adult, your eligibility depends on whether you were claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return. If you were claimed as a dependent, you would not receive your own stimulus payment, but the person who claimed you might receive an additional $2,400 for you as their dependent. However, if you were not claimed as a dependent and you filed your own tax return, then you could be eligible for your own payment of up to $1,400. This is especially important for college students who may have been dependent in previous years, but are now filing on their own. If someone in your family passed away, I am sorry for your loss, and I want to let you know that the rules around stimulus payments for deceased individuals can be tricky. Generally, if a person was alive at any point during the tax year for which the payment is being issued, they may be eligible for the payment. However, the IRS has said that payments should not be made to individuals who were deceased at the time the payment is issued. If you receive a payment for someone who has passed away, you may need to return it. The rules on this have changed over the different rounds of stimulus payments. So if you are dealing with this situation, I would recommend checking the IRS website or talking to a tax professional to find out exactly what you need to do. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about what you might want to do with this money if you receive it. I know it is tempting to go out and spend it right away, and honestly, if you need to pay bills or buy groceries, that is exactly what this money is for. But if you can, I would encourage you to think about using at least some of it in a way that will benefit you in the long run. For example, if you have high-interest credit card debt, using some of your stimulus payment to pay that down could save you a lot of money in interest over time. If you do not have an emergency fund, setting aside even a few hundred for unexpected expenses can give you peace of mind and keep you from having to borrow money the next time your car breaks down or you have a medical bill. And if you are in a good place financially and you do not need the money right away, you could consider putting it into a savings account, a retirement account, or even investing it. Every little bit helps when it comes to building financial security, and a $2,400 head start is nothing to sneeze at. I also want to mention that this whole situation is a good reminder of why it is so important to file your taxes every year, even if you do not think you owe anything, or even if your income is very low. Filing a tax return is how the government knows you exist and how they can send you money when programs like this come along. If you had filed your tax return and claimed the recovery rebate credit when you were supposed to, you would have gotten this money a long time ago. But because some people did not file, they missed out, and it has taken the IRS years to catch up and get the money to them. So please, if you have not been filing your taxes, start doing it. There are free options available for people with lower incomes. The IRS has a free file program on their website that lets you prepare and file your federal tax return for free if your income is below a certain level. There are also organizations like the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, which is called VITA, that offer free tax preparation services at locations all across the country. There is really no excuse not to file, and it could end up putting money in your pocket that you did not even know you were owed. Before I wrap up, I want to give you a quick summary of everything we have talked about. The IRS is sending out stimulus payments starting on March 5th to people who were eligible for the third round of stimulus checks but never received them. The maximum payment is $1,400 per person. You are eligible if your income was below the limits I mentioned earlier, and you did not receive the full amount of the third economic impact payment. If the IRS has your information on file, you do not need to do anything because the payments will be sent automatically. If you have not filed a tax return, you should file one as soon as possible to claim the recovery rebate credit before the deadline. The payments are not taxable and generally will not affect your eligibility for other government benefits. You can check the status of your payment using the Get My Payment tool on the IRS website. And please watch out for scams because the IRS will never ask you for personal information over the phone, by email, or by text message. I really hope this video has been helpful and has cleared up any confusion you might have had about these payments. I know that dealing with the IRS and taxes can be stressful and confusing, but at the end of the day, this is good news for a lot of people. If you are someone who has been struggling to make ends meet, an extra $1,400 or more could make a real difference in your life. And if you know someone who might be eligible for this payment, please share this video with them. A lot of people do not keep up with the news or follow IRS updates, and they might not even know that they have money coming to them. You could be the person who helps them find out, and that would be a really great thing. Thank you all so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below letting me know your thoughts. Are you expecting a payment? Have you already received one? Do you have any questions that I did not cover in this video? Drop them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. And do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not already, because I put out videos like this all the time, covering the latest news and updates about taxes, stimulus payments, government benefits, and everything else that affects your wallet. I want to make sure you are always informed and always ready to take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and stay blessed, everyone.